Charles Bronson, the iconic tough guy actor known for his steely gaze, rugged presence, and roles in legendary films like Death Wish, The Magnificent Seven, and The Great Escape, was a man who commanded respect both on and off the screen. With a career spanning decades, Bronson became synonymous with gritty, no-nonsense characters who settled scores with fists and grit rather than words. But behind that stoic exterior lay a complex personality, one that reportedly harbored a deep dislike, some say even hatred, towards a surprising individual. A man you'd never expect Charles Bronson to truly despise. Who was this mysterious figure that got under the skin of such a legendary icon? Today we dig into the intriguing story behind Charles Bronson's personal vendetta and why the answer might just surprise you, the tough guy with a soft side. Before we get to the shocking reveal, it's important to understand Bronson's persona. Off-screen, Bronson was far more private and enigmatic than the explosive characters he portrayed. Born Charles Dennis Bukinski in 1921 to Lithuanian immigrant parents, he grew up in a rough environment in Pennsylvania that forged his tough demeanor. Yet, those close to him often described a man who was deeply loyal, reserved, and protective of his family and friends. His toughness wasn't just an act, it was a way of life, molded by hardship. The usual suspects. Who did Bronson hate? When people hear that Bronson hated someone, guesses tend to veer toward a handful of obvious rivals or conflicts. Some speculate it was a fellow actor with whom he had a public feud, others suggest it was a director or producer with whom he clashed on set. Over the years, rumors have swirled about Bronson's difficulties working with certain Hollywood figures, but none of those stories quite capture the full intensity of his antipathy. The unexpected target. Paul Newman, the real answer? It was none other than Paul Newman. Wait, Paul Newman? The beloved actor known for his piercing blue eyes, charismatic smile, and box office charm, the Oscar-winning legend with a philanthropic heart? Surely Bronson and Newman moved in very different circles and portrayed vastly different characters, and that's exactly why this story is so surprising. How did Bronson's hatred for Newman begin? The origins of Bronson's dislike for Paul Newman are layered with Hollywood politics, personal pride, and professional rivalry. The Hollywood archetypes. Clash Bronson was the quintessential tough guy, often cast as the stoic, silent, avenger or hard-edged anti-hero. Newman, meanwhile, was the charismatic leading man, handsome, suave, and often the romantic hero or charming rogue. This contrast meant that the two actors represented nearly opposite ends of the Hollywood spectrum. Bronson reportedly resented the adoration Newman received from critics and fans alike, believing his own brand of masculinity and grit was undervalued in comparison. Competition for roles. At times, Bronson and Newman found themselves competing for similar roles, especially in the action and drama genres. Hollywood's fickle nature meant studios were constantly pitting stars against each other for box office dominance. Bronson felt that Newman's polished image made studios and audiences favor him, even when Bronson's raw intensity arguably brought more authenticity to certain roles. The personal dimension sources close to Bronson have revealed that he felt Newman's charm sometimes masked a less than genuine persona. There were whispers among Bronson's circle that he saw Newman as a bit of a Hollywood prince, someone who used his good looks and affability to glide through the industry without paying his dues. Bronson, proud of his blue-collar roots and tough upbringing, reportedly found this insufferable. The anecdote that sealed it. One of the most famous stories illustrating Bronson's antipathy toward Newman occurred during the filming of a movie in the early 1970s. Both actors were cast in the same film, although they had little screen time together. During a lunch break, Bronson overheard Newman speaking casually to a group of crew members, downplaying the hard work and risks involved in Bronson's more violent, action-heavy scenes. Bronson, known for his explosive temper, confronted Newman privately and expressed his disgust. The exchange was reportedly terse and icy, with Bronson making it clear that he believed Newman didn't respect the sacrifices Bronson made to portray gritty, realistic characters. After that incident, the two reportedly never spoke again. That contrast in public personas. The public perception of both men couldn't be more different. Paul Newman, seen as a Hollywood legend, humanitarian, and all-American good guy. Charles Bronson, the brooding, tough-as-nails actor who brought grit and realism to his roles. Despite this, it's a testament to how much image and reputation in Hollywood can mask underlying tensions. Was this hate mutual? Interestingly, there's little evidence to suggest Paul Newman shared Bronson's animosity. Newman was known for his graciousness and professionalism on set, often avoiding conflict, but Newman's very presence and success seemed to fuel Bronson's frustration. Some film historians speculate that Bronson's resentment was as much about internal struggles, jealousy, insecurity, and a feeling of being overshadowed, as it was about Newman himself. What does this tell us about Bronson? This story humanizes Charles Bronson in an unexpected way. It reveals the complicated nature of celebrity, competition, and personal pride. Bronson wasn't just the invincible tough guy. He was a man who wrestled with feelings of rivalry, perceived injustice, and professional envy. It reminds us that even the most hardened personas carry vulnerabilities. Bronson's legacy. Despite his feelings, regardless of his personal feelings toward Paul Newman, Charles Bronson carved out an indelible place in cinematic history. He created a niche that few others could fill, representing a form of masculinity that was raw, real, and unpolished. His influence is felt in countless films and performances that followed, inspiring generations of actors. Meanwhile, Paul Newman's legacy of charm and philanthropy continues to inspire in its own way. Why the surprise reaction? Why does the fact that Bronson hated Paul Newman surprise so many? Because both actors were professionals in the same industry, and their public personas seemed so different. Because Newman's reputation was one of kindness and grace, making the idea of someone hating him feel almost out of place. Because it highlights how celebrity relationships are often more complex and nuanced than fans realize. Conclusion: a tale of two legends. Charles Bronson's intense dislike for Paul Newman is a reminder that beneath Hollywood's glitz and glamour lies a world of competition, envy, and complicated human emotion. Their story, part rivalry, part misunderstanding, shows that even the most iconic figures wrestle with feelings of resentment and insecurity. Ultimately, it's a fascinating chapter in the history of two legendary actors whose careers and personalities couldn't have been more different, yet who forever remain intertwined in the tapestry of cinema. So the next time you watch a Bronson flick, remember, beneath that tough exterior was a man who truly hated Paul Newman, and now you know why.